Okay, I feel I need to cover this because I need to make sure that key people in my group understand about the food supply. Okay. So in the beginning of the um, the protocol, like when I first started this, I belonged to the holistic group and the conspiracy community. So parasites were a lot of focus, like the worms and all that stuff. And then I had a lot of the religious, the Messianic Hebrews, the Jehovah's Witnesses, which I still do have Jehovah's Witnesses. I have born again Christians. I have Christians. I have Jewish people. I have Buddhists. I have, you name it, Muslim, you name it. They're all over the J juice. Okay. We have since discovered that you will eventually reintroduce foods back in your diet. In the beginning, you're discriminated against food. In the beginning, I was discriminatory coming from the holistic religious conspiracy world, demonizing meat and milk and all these different foods. And yesterday I did a video that I focused with Angela Harvey, who was thinking that her rejection of chicken in her palate was something to celebrate, which, okay, fine. If you have a political stance on your food or a religious stance, I am not going to get in the way of that, because you can always take away food from the protocol, but you can never really add to it. I mean, people do go off the diet and they do eat the certain foods that are off the diet. Fine, just drink a bunch of J juice and then offset that. But I have people that are very, like, that are against the meat, and I have had to do discrimination in the beginning because we need to have lighter foods as we're purging out the excess viruses. Not that the viruses are bad, because viruses are actually good. They're information on a strong body. The reason why viruses are not good, because we have weak bodies. This is what I want Christina Morris to understand. Okay? Because she wrote a comment that said that pork has viruses that do not die in boiled or when they're cooked. Okay, whatever, who cares? Do you realize that no matter what, you're exposed to viruses? So you may not test positive on a titer test, but you still have the programming from your exposure. Because the people that you date, the people that you go and buy food from, so when you go to a restaurant, you have no idea somebody washes their hands. Guess what? They probably have viruses that may have to do with pork. When you go to a restaurant and you eat a vegetarian meal, they're also serving pork, they could be touching the pork and then touching your vegetarian meal. So you have no control. You cannot mitigate against pathogens. You cannot prevent pathogens, okay? But they're only pathogenic on a weak body. Now we have since flipped the script, and we are realizing that all of these viruses and their information on a strong body, it actually accelerates the evolution, the advancement of humanity. Because I'm already seeing that today, because you know that when you test positive for a titer test, it means you have excess amount of viruses that could potentially agglutinate and then cause harm to you. But then when you do the J juice, you start releasing the viruses. Or when you have white blood cells, too many white blood cells, and you have to go to the hospital and you get an IV bag, they're giving you saline solution to disperse the antibodies, and to where then you're not getting negatively affected, but you still have the programming. So when you do a drug test, and let's say you did smoke pot, like, 3 weeks ago or a week ago, and you test positive, and then you stopped smoking pot, and you haven't purged out the pot viruses or the pot antigen, you still have it, but you're testing negative. So those antibodies, those titer tests, testing positive or negative, it just tells you how many, how soon, how much protection of antibodies you have relative to the context. So for the government, and they want to see that you have a vaccine, they want to see protection, that's how they know you have all these antibodies, and so great. And then when you test negative on a drug test, it means that you haven't been exposed to the illicit drug anytime recently. But you still are, the programming of that pot is still in your body if you haven't actually strengthened your body to where you don't even need the pot. Okay? So viruses and pork. Now, I know there's people out there that are like, oh God, pork's so bad. And you see it in the religious groups. They have all these memes and these posters about how pork and the viruses and the worms. Yeah, every single animal, even humans, have worms. There are worms in your organic garden. There's worms in the dirt. There's eggs and everywhere. You're inhaling microscopic eggs that on a weak body will go in and plant themselves and then multiply. Okay, you cannot prevent pathogens, and you can't prevent healing, but you can't prevent pathogens. But it's only on a weak body. Okay, so I've now since discovered that, you know what, when I was playing the discrimination game, I felt that I turned the corner. I felt more enlightened, that I didn't have a taste for coffee, that I didn't have a taste for meat, that I didn't have a taste for chicken. And I felt and I was still adopting the new age, holistic, vegan, vegetarian political platform. And then over time, I realized that I can reintroduce foods back in my diet. My body was able to process them. I actually craved steak. You know what steak holds? It holds minerals. It holds hormones. It holds nutrients in a very fast way. My dog, you would never put your dog on a vegan diet, even though vegetables create meat. And that's the argument in the vegan vegetarian world, is that, oh yeah, animals that eat meat shouldn't really eat meat. They should only eat vegetables because vegetables create meat. No, I'm sorry, but that's not how it works. The dog needs a well balance. Giving just your dog straight raw meat, no, because the meat has parasites. The dog has a weak body. The dog needs a balance of probiotics and minerals and salt and protein and nutrients. Okay, so but you wouldn't just withhold meat from a dog. Well, the same thing with a human. Now, if you choose to, fine, but if you're in your line of work, whatever you're doing, if you're not required to go and fight wars or required to go and do construction or do anything heavily, labor intensive, then you can, you're going to the office and you're typing and on the phone, you can get away with a vegan vegetarian diet. I see skinny people who are vegans and vegetarians would not be able to handle labor intensive work. We have places in our society for those types of people. Then we have people who do labor intensive work. They're weightlifters, or they're firemen, or they're policemen, or they are construction workers, or they work on the highways. And those types, yes, or they're hunters, or or truck drivers like my husband. Okay, he needs his meat and his milk. He gets the fast hormones, he gets the nutrients, but then also too, you need something to then purge out any excess parasites, any excess viruses are causing malfunctions. Okay, so I'm taking away the divide and conquer. I'm taking away the religious aspect of food. I'm taking away the conspiracy aspect of food. I'm taking away the political platform aspect of food. All of that. I have people that are close to me that are Jehovah's Witness. I am not going to just not point out their discrimination around food. I'm not going to not do, just because they're a close friend of mine doesn't mean that I'm not going to say, hey, we're not discriminating against pork. If someone wants to eat bacon down the road, they can eat bacon, though it's not on the protocol in the beginning, because you have to discriminate in the beginning to help lessen the amount of heavy food so your body can finally clean itself up. But down the road, if you want to eat bacon, if you want to eat a steak, if you want to eat pork, if you want to eat fried foods, if you want to eat all these things in balance, and you're doing the J juice and you're purging everything out and you're causing balances in your body, good balance in your body, now all of those political platforms, the religious aspect, everything is gone. We're done with the divide and conquer. Now you're only looking as a human that's able to process their environment without discriminating. No discrimination. The whole point of J juice is not to discriminate politically, religiously, and sexually on anyone or anything. That is the outcome of J juice. We're not identifying anybody by anything that causes the division in our society. Religion can cause division in our society. We know this. We know politics cause division. We know sexual orientation causes division. We're getting away from that. Now, yeah, in the beginning, that's why the diet is universal, because every single body needs to have the same diet, drink the recipe, experience their healing based upon all their past, present, and future triggers, and then figure out when they can reintroduce food so they can process it and have an amazing life and be able to adapt to their environment regardless of what it is, and not create division, create unification. Okay, so then you're not going to be discriminated against coffee, you're not going to be discriminated against meat, you're not going to be discriminated against milk, which I know I did because of what I thought milk was doing. But no, milk in itself isn't bad. All the different chemicals, which are basically elements, all the chemicals that are in like high fructose corn syrup, is part of the elemental composition of the human body, it's part of the periodic tables. And then guess what? Your body is going to purge out what it doesn't need, and it's going to absorb what it does need. And that's a high functioning immune system and digestive system. So you don't have to play the discrimination game. So I'm not going to tolerate anyone food discriminating, playing those games. I'm not going to, because there are people that will still go and hunt, and that's fine. Okay, humanity has hunted, has eaten pork, has eaten chicken, now in our society we don't eat dog. In other societies they do, and I don't see really, yes, Western society we don't eat cats and we don't eat dogs. We don't eat rats either, okay? Other societies do, but it's how they, and really what it comes down to, but then India doesn't eat cows, but we eat cows. Really, the politics that really what people are focusing on is how they're being slaughtered. That's really the big focus, is how they are doing that. And it's one of those things where that really gets political. But if you're in a society where you have specific practices, you hope that things can be done humanely. We're not ever going to turn into a vegetarian society. There's no way. That's never going to happen. Okay? There's always going to be a need for it. Not even a need, it's just, it's our society is adapting to, and now if you don't believe in it, that's totally fine. That's completely your work, and that's okay. I'm not saying that is wrong. But see, here's the thing. It depends on, again, what it is that you do for a living. If you're in a high labor intensive job, you're going to need the protein. And I don't know how, I guess people can use the legumes and eat the beans, and that's fine. I see bodybuilders that are in a strict vegetarian body, no meat, no milk, no nothing, and they're building up their muscles. But maybe that's only strength for a short amount of time. Could they do things endurance-wise? Because I was reading about the different dynasties in China and all the different warring dynasties, and one dynasty, one civilization was only eating an agricultural, high starch, high sugar, high starch and vegetables. Another one was eating meat and milk, and the ones that are eating meat and milk and all of that had a higher endurance and stronger, and they were able to go in and basically decimate the ones that were eating only vegetables. And you just look at the ones that are only eating vegetables and vegans. There's not much to them. Okay, and the ones that are eating meat and milk are very strong. So you can have a balance, but it just depends on what you're doing in your life. Okay. So I won't subscribe anymore to the discrimination. In the beginning, yes, everybody has to be on the same universal diet with the Jejus in the beginning, so you can get your body well balanced. You bring in all the strategic nutrition, the lactobacillus, the cabbage, the salt, the minerals, and then you drink water too. Okay. And then what do? Then you do the autophagic waterfalls. You're releasing the excess, and then your body's absorbing, and you're seeing now healing pain, which is basically little big bangs, the creation of life. Okay, when people are dying, they're going to be like either a supernova or they're going to be like a black hole. Okay, and you see people in your life that are dealing with chemotherapy and all these different things, and they're trying to find some spiritual connection with their cancer. And so they're going to be this luminous supernova before they pass away, because they're going to be practicing the wrong programming on their very cancer-ridden body. But if they strengthen their body, all of those viruses they've been exposed to that cause the cancer, they can actually derive good benefit from, but they have to strengthen their body first. And that's where the Jejus is. We're able to take all of the messages in our society and convert it to something beneficial in our body, and then we manifest all of that in our actions, our words, our behaviors, and then we change the vibrations, But the ones that are still practicing all the antibiotics and practicing all of the black hole consume and not produce more than they're consuming, yes, that's right now you're seeing the death trajectory, why you're seeing crimes being committed, why you're seeing bullying, why you're seeing all this stuff. Okay? So I all for people that have their religion. I think it's great. Everyone needs to have something that they feel that they can turn to in times of stress, in times of need, or rebel against. My mom would say, kids need religion so they can have something to rebel against. Okay. I guess there's that, yes. But I'm not going to have those religions and your political platforms be used to divide and conquer and then make wrong. Because when you say, oh, pork has the viruses that can't be killed, what are you saying in the background? You're saying that it's wrong to eat pork because it's going to kill you. No, it's not. If you have a political agenda around it and you don't want to do it, that's different than it's going to kill you. You can't be deceptive about what your feelings are about pork and meat. You say, I don't believe it morally because I don't think animals should die. But to say that pork is going to cause people to die is completely wrong. I eat bacon occasionally. I drink the J juice. I'm not going to die from pork. I will actually derive benefit from the viruses that may be in the pork or the parasites. Okay? So there's ways to derive benefit from your environment if you understand how the elements work and how your own biochemistry works. And if you don't understand, you're still stuck in the divide and conquer, you're going to then think that meat and milk and this and that is horrible, and you're going to create the fear mongering. I don't want any fear mongering in my group. I don't care if people say, oh yeah, the Lyme disease has been weaponized. I don't care if there's an article written about it. I don't care if there's an investigation. We're not trying to induce fear in J juice. Despite your environment, you will be able to thrive and adapt despite what they are doing, if that is in fact what they're doing. There's no way to confirm that. Viruses mutate. People go to the Amazon. We are a mobile society. They bring pathogens and they bring viruses from different countries. We're seeing the Ebola virus spread, but there's no fear around that because you're going to be fine with the J juice. Okay, that's the perspective I want my members to come from, not just dropping links that induce fear, not just having a judgment about pork or meat or milk in my group or anywhere else. And that's true, Krista. On a weak body, anything can harm you, including pork. Anything. That's why you see in the holistic groups and the articles how they're like, oh yeah, coffee's good, coffee's bad. You know, this is good, this is bad, because they know they're dealing with the spectrum of people. So people are getting these mixed messages. They don't know because they don't realize it's about what you bring to the table. People can derive benefit from coffee and they can have an adverse reaction to coffee. It depends on where you are in the spectrum of life, how many mutations, how many issues you have on any given day. Okay? But in the beginning, you have to be discriminatory. Everybody's on a universal diet, a universal protocol in the beginning. And then down the road, you'll slowly reintroduce foods and see how your body reacts. And if you get extreme mucus and get extreme reaction, then you need to get back on the J juice, of course, and stick to the diet, a bland diet. Avoid the foods that are causing your reactions except for the J juice. And then wait and see more healing, and then experiment again. Test out. Can you eat a nightshade? Can you eat this? Can you eat that? Okay? All right. Have a good day. Bye.